Does everybody have a seat? Okay, we're getting more chairs. I just want to make sure everybody has a place that they're comfortable before we start. Welcome everybody to our Taste and See class, our Taste and See workshop with Spectrum of Light Ministries. We're glad that you're all here. Did you all enjoy that talk and learn something about the digestive system?
Yes. Very good.
Good. So my name's Alicia. There's going to be 5 of us doing 5 demonstrations today. In between the demonstrations, we're going to have some giveaways, so make sure you get your ticket ready, okay? And is everybody seated? Looks like they are. Everybody comfortable? Okay. Welcome, Kathy. We're glad you're here. Sorry I didn't recognize you over there. Okay. So, you know, we're going to start with, you all have your handouts, and so we're going to go in order of the handouts. And the first, can you hear me? The first recipe we're going to do is called a chickpea spinach masala stew. And it's an Indian type of cuisine, and you know that Indian cuisines are full of spices and healthy, that have health benefits. You know, spices, what do spices do? Where do they come from? They come from the seed of a plant, or the stem of the plant, or even the bark of a plant. And so there's going to be some spices that we're going to share today. And we're talking about herbs today. And herbs, you know, they are a widespread group of plants and that are not vegetables. And, you know, spices and herbs, they have aromatic flavor unto them and disease preventing properties. And so we're going to utilize that today. Now, I did hear, you know, we know that I just heard Dr. Chung indicate that, you know, oil is not really that good for us. So I have never done this recipe without oil, but I'm sure it would taste fine. We're going to go ahead and use a little olive oil today to marry some of these spices and to get them infused together. So just a little bit of oil there today. It's olive oil. One of the best oils to use if we're going to use oil is a coconut oil. It has a low smoke point, and so it's a little healthier for you. We'll talk a little bit more about coconut oil and milk in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So I put a little bit of oil in the pan, and then I've got some garam masala, and that's kind of a mixture of a few spices. We're going to start with some dried chili. So when you see these in your food in a little bit, you might not want to eat them, but they're just to flavor your food, okay? And the next thing we're going to do is some black mustard seed. It's an ancient seed, lots of health benefits. We got some fennel seed. Fennel seed is good for bad breath and body odor. And then we're going to put some curry leaves in this. And we're going to just let this marry for probably 30 seconds, 40 seconds. I'm going to put this down just a little bit to medium heat. Okay. So what does it say we're going to do next? We're going to add some onions. So we know onions have lots of healthy disease preventing properties. This is a very healthy meal. Okay, and at the same time, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic paste. Garlic is a good antiseptic. That's just one of the properties that I can talk about. We're going to put some ginger in it. It's going to be about 50-50. I use about 2 teaspoons for both the garlic and the ginger. Turn that down a little bit more. Just a little too high. Okay. So what is we're going to do next? Okay, so the next part we got to do, we probably let that cook for a couple minutes. For the sake of our presentation, we're going to keep moving. I'm going to add this spinach. Believe it or not, this will all fit in there eventually. So with this recipe, it calls for some, wonderful, here's some turmeric that we all know. I don't know if you guys can read up here. We've got lots of, turmeric is, we might as well help fight cancer today. So we're going to put it in our food in just a few minutes. Okay. And then we've got, what else do we have? Chili powder. Okay. And that's good for inflammation. So we might as well add that to our food. And then we've got some cumin. Cumin helps aid digestion. And it's good to increase our cognitive function. It helps relieve stress and anxiety, premature aging, multiple health benefits. It's good for a cough. Very good. Thank you, Rosa. So we're just going to cook this down a little bit. Maybe add a little bit more. To all fit. I got to put that down a little bit more, but the next thing we're going to add, and for the sake of time, I'll go ahead and do it. This is going to be garbanzo beans. We know they're an ancient pea, and of course they're high in protein, and they're nutrient dense. Weave it. So I think I might have it too low now. I don't have the luxury of having a gas stove, so this is different than what I was doing earlier today. Not quite used to it. Okay, what comes next? Okay, so now we're going to pretend that those spinach is cooked down, and then I'm going to add some tomatoes, diced tomatoes. And at this point, we'll go ahead and add some sea salt. Now, sea salt is the superior salt. I love to promote it because it has 84 minerals in it that you don't get from your ionized salt. Those 84 minerals. Does anybody know how much we need a day of sodium? We need about 590 minimum a day. How much do you think the average American eats a day of sodium? Anybody want to take a guess? About 2,000? It's 4,000 to 6,000 a day. Now, why do you think that might be? Now, if you're eating like this, it's probably going to be harder. But when you're eating from packaged foods, sodium is hidden in packaged foods. And so we can control, how much we put in. And I just love talking about the 84 minerals because the 84 minerals that are in the dust of the earth are the same 84 minerals that are found in our body system. And we need minerals. We need minerals to regulate our blood sugar. And sometimes that, is where we lack minerals. Okay, so we got that mixed up now. Now we're going to go ahead and add our anti-cancer turmeric. Okay, and let's see what's next. This is going to be chili powder. I said this is really good for inflammation. And then cumin. Very, very good for us. Okay, now we're mixing that up. One of the last ingredients that I'm going to add is a can of coconut milk. Now, coconut milk is fat. It's a fat, but it's a healthy fat. It is what we call a medium chain fatty acid. So when we use this, it does not store in our body as fat, but it's utilized for energy. So we're going to go ahead and put this in here. Coconut has a lot of health benefits. And you know what the best electrolyte replacement on the face of this earth is? is coconut water. So, you know, it's close to mother's breast milk. Okay, so we're just going to let this cook down a little bit more. And about, you know, what does it say here? Instead of 4 to 5 minutes, it's probably not quite ready. But then I'm going to just dish it up. And then I'm going to, how many time? I'm out of time. Okay, so we're dishing this up. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of jalapeno on there. You don't have to. And then a little bit of cilantro. Now you can eat this with naan. They have some vegan, actually, with no egg, naan bread. There's simple recipes on YouTube. So that is it for this recipe. And we're going to go ahead and have Trina, Dr. Trina Chung, come up next and present her recipe. And in the meantime, when she's setting up, we're going to have a prize giveaway. Can you come on up? The young kid right here. Come on up, honey. Oh, you know what? Go ahead and grab that and draw a ticket and then read the numbers to us.
I don't.
1 8 1 7 6 9 5 6.
5 6.
I got it.
Okay, do we have a number? With the hat, let's see. Black cat, okay. And this, okay, so the last number.
It's 6952.
6152.
695.
Anybody have that? And we'll draw another one if nobody's here. And this is going to be for an autoimmune plant-based cookbook. 6952. Anybody out there? 6952. Let's draw another one.
8 1 7 6 9 3 0.
6930.
This is weird.
Yeah, this is weird. Okay, let's try again.
Here, Daddy, I don't have my
8
glasses.
1 7 6 9 4 3.
All right. There's an autoimmune plant-based cookbook for you.
Awesome.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, these are mine. Okay, you guys hear me okay? Able to hear? All right, nice. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I have the pleasure of doing the second recipe, which is called the white navy bean soup. You can do any type of white bean. I do my cocoa beans, which are actually a Peruvian-based white bean. You can use a navy bean, and you can also use a cannellini bean. I think that's how you say it. So this recipe is very simple. And not only is it simple, it's something that you can add onto it. So what I have done for you today is a very basic recipe. What I like to do with this recipe is also to add carrots, sliced carrots. You can add butternut squash, and you can also add kale. That is mentioned actually on the recipe down below under the notes section. So you can see there's some things that you can build up on the soup. So let's get going. I'm going to start with the water. So the main ingredients that we are going to be using, of course, it wouldn't be a bean soup without beans. So I have the beans right here. I have my garlic powder. I I have my salt, and I have my onion powder. I also have my water here, and these beans have been soaked. So these are not canned, but these are just straight, not canned beans. So I actually soaked them, and I'm going to talk to you while I keep going about why we should soak our beans. So simply just add your beans to the pot, and we're going to turn it on and get the water going. But you want to make sure you start soaking your beans overnight, but at least a minimum to 2 to 6 hours. Now that allows a lot of the anti-nutrient compounds to be released and absorbed in the water. So you want to soak your beans. It's going to help with the decreasing in time of the cooking. It's also going to help with the texture of the beans. So all I'm doing is adding water. And according to the instructions, it just says to add the water about an inch above your beans. Okay? Depending sometimes on your beans, you may require more or less water. So for me, a good rule of thumb to use is just an inch or like a finger, just a little, not a fingertip, but just like this part to the first digit is a nice rule of thumb to use for that. Okay, so just above the base of the top of the beans. Now, I know you guys are gonna love me for this because it's just simple. 3 simple things that you add. I got my garlic powder, which is 2 teaspoons. I have my salt, and on that instructions or on the ingredients it says a teaspoon and a half, but you should also salt to taste as well. Okay, so I always start off with a teaspoon and a half, and then if I need more, I add more. And then you're also going to add your garlic powder. Now I have 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. And another good thing about this recipe, it's very easy to remember. For every 1 cup of bean, you're going to do 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and a teaspoon of salt. If you added for 2 cups, which is what we have here, and it's on your instructions, then I would do what? 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and a teaspoon and a half of salt. And all you do is you let them cook until they're tender. I usually like to use my Instapot or my Ninja, which is a pressure cooker. And honestly, I just put it on there for 40 minutes. You can have beans from scratch in 40 minutes if you use a pressure cooker. If not, you can also just have this going for about an hour to 30 minutes. Okay, if you don't have a pressure cooker. But a very simple and easy recipe. You would then add your additions towards the end of the cooking. So if I like to add my kale, I wait until the beans are nice and tender. I give them I season them more, I need more salt. And then I add the kale. And once the kale has kind of wilted down a little bit, and that's when I know it's ready. You can also add your carrots to this as well. And you cook that until tender for the carrots. So you can actually add your carrots on a little bit about when the beans have been on the stove for about an hour and 20 minutes. Okay? Any questions? Pretty simple and easy. Yes, ma'am.
Your Instant Pot, what is the temperature?
On the highest. So Instant Pot is either high or low for the pressure. So you want it on high pressure, and I do mine for 45 to 50 minutes. All right. Pretty easy, simple. 3 ingredients, well, 3 seasonings, but including the beans, we have 4, and then the water is 5. But this is a really nice recipe. The white navy bean soup is good because white beans are very easy for digestion. And as we learned about digestion earlier and what Dr. Andrew Chung was talking about, this is a really nice bean to have. So your white beans are good for digestion because they're easier to be digested. Yes.
It says here you're using Lucinato kale. Is that?
That's the Lucento or dinosaur kale. You can use that, or you can use any kale that you like. But I like that one because it's a softer texture. With kale, you want to help kind of break it up a little bit, and so massaging it is nice because that also helps with the digestion of your kale. But the placental kale is easier to digest than the curly kale, and it looks prettier. But other than that, it's very simple and easy, and it's going to be very nice for the cold winter that is coming up. But remember, we have our garlic and our onion powder. Our onion is very high in quercetin, which is really good for our guts. And then we also have our garlic, which is anti-inflammatory, and it also helps with increasing or boosting our immune system. So we have a lot of these using our herbs as a way to fight a lot of these diseases that we will be encountering this upcoming winter. But other than that is it for me. Any other questions?
It's very good.
Praise the Lord. Praise God. The cook's in the back.
They passed it out. How is that tasting, everybody?
Good.
Very good.
Does anybody need more napkins? Okay, it's time for another giveaway by our next presenter is setting up. So this one we're gonna have a choice. Where's that young man? You want to come draw the name again? Okay, and then you want to do it this time? Oh, so your brother's got your feet. You can do it next time.
Did you get a ticket, honey?
Now this is going to be for a gift certificate at the health food store for $20, or a DVD called "What the Hell."
8176939.
Me.
Edna.
Which one would you
Yeah,
want?
right.
Yeah. Very good.
Nice.
Okay, our next presenter will be right out. This guy.
I have your ticket.
Here you go.
You want me to watch them both?
Yes.
Okay.
Twice the chance.
Hey. You were right. We needed those.
Yeah, that was good. That worked out well. Oh, block the camera.
Okay. Thank you.
We can't hear you. Okay,
That's it.
There we go. Perfect.
Turn it up.
I think it's on. Are you putting it out?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. The first thing I have my captain one.
So follow along in the recipe. So Rosa, there's 2 recipes. Okay, now this is a killer recipe, not in a bad way, but it's really a good recipe. Now, the tamale, she's not going to demonstrate today. She's only demonstrated the lentil tamale soup. But attached is the tamale recipe, because in the store, when you go to buy tamales, a lot of them have lard.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, or pork. So we're just doing it the healthy way. Yeah, sure.
I have lentils and rice. Yes. And I have two vegetables. Together. I have a little salt. And boil for 25 minutes. Okay, let's get to it. Prepare the sauce.
What kind of chilies are those?
It's guajillo, dry guajillo. So you put it in the blender. And garlic. And cumin together. Okay. And 2 cups of water. I think I'm done. I have 4 teaspoons oil. Yes, it's separate. So already is half. Okay. Put the sauce right here. Already, past 25 minutes. Put it. The sauce. I have seasoning right here. Yes. The tamale soup is not spicy.
No.
It's not. Believe me. Okay. My lettuce and my rice already done. So the sauce already is boiling. So put together. And my lentils and rice. Ready? And I have a can roasted green peppers right here. Put right there. Thank you. And let's boil. And I put the last thing, the tamale in a little squares. Wait to the boil for 10 or 15 minutes. When it's boiling for 10-15 minutes, or ready for serving. Serving for onions, cilantro, can you like? And I think that's that for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's time for another giveaway. While we pass these out. Yes, yes. Okay. Let's that young man draw to it right now. Okay, we're going to draw for either an autoimmune cookbook or one of these 3 DVDs. Plant Cure Nation, It's Time to Get Real About Food, or Planet Eat. Let's go ahead and draw. Want to read the number out loud? Right there.
8, 1, 2, 7, 6, 9, 3, 2.
Did everybody hear that? 817-6932. All right. Okay, we'll come back. Let's give her a choice. Okay.
Let's see, you're done with the hot one. This one. Uh-oh.
Is it wonderful?
Right?
Everybody else?
So, how we doing out there? Fill out that.
Well, they are.
We're gonna start now. We're ready for another recipe, another demonstration. I forgot the most important part, so I hope you can see this. Anybody know what that is?
What?
Way back there. That's good. Have you ever prepared about that squash?
I'd like to see how you prepare it.
Well, here's the thing. I had never done this.
I want you to cut it out.
I do cook some things at home, but this is the first time.
You can teach me how to cut it and peel it. That's the problem.
Well, you just take that butternut squash, and they have it safely right now, organic. They're wonderful. They look great. You cut the top off with a sharp knife. It's kind of got a hard. So you peel. So you cut the top
Can we have
off,
it quiet so we can hear the speaker, please?
and you cut off the bottom, and then get yourself a nice peeler. The ones that are kind of horizontal, not the ones you use like on a carrot, but you want to be able to work it right down that thing. Be careful because it's a little bit slippery as you're cutting off that peel. The rest of it gets a little slippery, so you got to be careful not to touch something. You want to get it nice and get all that peel off, and then you have this beautiful carrotine. Anyway, it's like what's in carrots. It's beautiful orange color. It just looks lovely. And so then you just cut that in half, cut it right down the middle. So you have 2 halves, and you're going to have little pockets with the seeds. You just take your spoon and work those out, get nice and cleaned out, and then you get a nice knife. It's always good to have a good sharp knife. Cut that all up in nice little pieces. And when you're going to start, you want to get all your preparation ready. But you're going to start with some onion, white or yellow onion, some garlic, This recipe, butternut squash, is filled with so many wonderful things. One of the best things is vitamin A, which is so good for your immune system. It's good for people having babies, the birth of the child. Anyway, growing up with a child. Anyway, and your garlic is always great for antibacterial. So you're gonna heat that all up in a big pot like this. Your onion first and your garlic. I used a little olive oil. I think olive oil is the best one. I really like the flavor, and it's really one of the best oils. And you get your onion about so it's kind of translucent, and then you throw in your you see that all right? You throw in your butternut squash, and you want to put some vegan, some nice vegan, organic, get organic. What am I thinking? Broth, vegetable broth. Okay, I cheated a little bit. This is a new brand over at grocery outlet. It's organic. It says no chicken broth. They have no fish broth. They have no beef broth. I guess it's supposed to get you kind of close to one of those, but they didn't have one that was just vegetarian or beef. Or what is it? It's all beef, but it wasn't just vegetarian. Although it's all vegetable ingredients. But it does have kelp in there. It's got some mushroom powder. It's got a little bit of organic olive oil. Anyway, you're welcome to come up and read the ingredients after we're done. And also, I just want to let you know right now, if you want to know the benefits of butternut squash, there's like 21 pages here. And we have some of the other ingredients: ginger, butternut squash, maple syrup. There's maple syrup in this. Is maple syrup better than sugar?
Oh, yeah.
Lots better. It's much better for you. All kinds of wonderful properties. Ginger, this is what ginger looks like. You could use ginger just like this. You can drain it up. I use right out of the container ginger, but this is better. You can get this organic too. So once you get this cooked up, nice and soft, just put it in the blender. So we have a blender right here. I hope I'm plugged in. And let's see if I can get this in here all right. Just like this. What a nice smooth soup. It's going to be kind of a creamy butternut squash soup. It's got sage in it. I've got the Celtic salt in here, which is full of minerals. I think the Celtic salt is probably the sea salt, one of the best sea salt. And we have a little, what is it? Nutmeg. Nutmeg. Okay. That's my wife. She'll tell you I do that too much. Anyway, I like to get the last every bit out the container. Okay. So, how many of you have one of these at home? These are just, we've had them for 20 years. They just keep going. We have to replace the berry or the cutter. So I always turn it down on the one side, a little low, because if you pass that high, just right on. So you got to start off a little low, turn it on. Beautiful. It's just like we're good on this. So now you want to take it, put it back in the pot. And you're going to put it back in the pot. It's great. Fortunately, there's a nice big pot that's already made in the back. Don't forget to come up and take a look at the benefits of this soup. And what we're going to do is Probably not going to do right now because it's a little technical. Garnish it with some parsley. You can garnish it with some, what are those? Pumpkin seeds.
Oh, yeah.
You can garnish it with some, where's the other one? Chili pepper, you like a little spice on it.
Wait, yes.
Crushed chili pepper. But the last ingredient we're going to put in here is the coconut milk. For okay, we're a little high. So then we're going to stir that in. It's going to look beautiful. Nice golden soup. Hold to your health. Yeah, we should be bringing. Anybody getting some of that yet?
Yes.
We're getting. Oh, good. And you know, it's doing good things for your body. Great for your stomach. Great for your what? For your gut. Good for your gut. Okay. There we are. It looks like yours, but it's pretty good.
Delicious.
Go back and eat. So, thank you very much. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, it is time. It is now time for another giveaway. Where are those young gentlemen? There's a spoon for you, sir. Anybody else need a spoon? Everybody doing okay? Your turn. Bye. 817-6931. All right. Okay. Well, let me find the videos. You can have a choice of one of the 4 videos. Okay. We got plant germination, Deb, what the hell, and eat.
It's just live, right?
Can you hear me? Oh, yes.
There we go.
Okay, this is our last recipe. I'm looking at Robert's recipe there. Where my recipe.
Turn your mic up.
Turn your mic this way.
Okay.
There we go.
We're doing Carol's super vegetable soup. Do you know who Carol is?
She's mother.
She's in this room.
Yeah, Lisa's mother.
This is Alicia's mother's recipe.
Oh.
And everybody that tastes it loves it. So you'll see that there are many veggies up right there in the first 5 ingredients. We've got carrots and celery and Brussels sprouts, an onion and potatoes. And all of those I did before I got here today. So I sauteed them up first, as you say, it says to do it in a little bit of olive oil, which I did. And then to put some water and to let them get steamed up so that they're mostly ready to eat. So that's what this is. And you'll see the little ½ cup of barley. I did that ahead of time also and added it in.
So do you use regular barley?
Yeah, I just used pearl barley and cooked it. So what do we have here? What do carrots have? You all know what they have. Beta carotene, right. They're orange, so you know they have that. And what is our vitamin A? We could call it that too. And thank you, Alicia, for getting all of my stuff ready over here. So vitamin A, beta carotene. What is that good for?
Eyes.
Eyes. What else is it good for? A lot, your skin, your membranes. It's very good for immunity as kind of a first line of defense. So it's a very valuable thing for us to eat in our food. Celery. Celery is a blood cleanser, a blood purifier. And it probably does other things too because it's very high in fiber, as are carrots. So when Dr. Chung was talking to you about the fiber and that being a really important prebiotic, you're getting a lot of that in these vegetables. Brussels sprouts. What family are they in? Cruciferous. Cruciferous is splendiferous. That is a wonderful family. What do you get out of that family? You get some vitamin A. You get some vitamin C. Very importantly, you get a very good anti-carcinogenic substance called sulforaphane. That's a really key ingredient in that family. So you're getting a lot of nutrition from the veggies that are in here. And then of course we've got an onion. Nothing could be complete without an onion. And then we have potatoes. And then, so that's all mixed in here now. Okay. So now I'm going to put in the powders and the salt. This says to have, okay, I might not use this, but that's okay. We'll be there in a second. So we've got onion powder and garlic powder and celery salt. And I put that all in this little container here. And I'm putting it in. Now, another thing that I didn't throw away because I didn't have the heart to, but you know, when you're chopping up celery and it has those beautiful leaves on the top, so I put those inside here too. I didn't want to lose the benefit of that. And then we've got garbanzo beans and kidney beans. Now, there's nothing that you're going to get with higher fiber than legumes. So we're putting a good dose of legumes in here. And you've already had some garbanzo beans in the other recipe. And then we've got a half cup of corn, but you know, I'm just gonna put the whole can in, so I don't have to worry about taking that back. And then I'm putting some kale, but not only kale. I don't want to put this in yet, but you see, I've got some kale leaves. I picked these right out of my garden this morning. So I've got some kale leaves right here, and I've got this other kind of a collard green. And it is not a collard you can buy in the store. It's very tasty. So I'm going to put that on after, I'm going to put that after I get it hot. I'm not going to be able to get it hot right here unless this is on. No. So I'll heat it back in there on the stove. And this calls for some tomatoes. And what Carol told me that she does is she puts them in someplace in a blender or someplace where she can just pulse it a little bit to make it more liquefied. So what I did, so that I could maybe skip that step, I'm always looking to streamline everything I'm doing. So I bought these tomatoes that say they are crushed and there's quite a bit of liquid already in there. So that's what I'm going to put in here. And that will get me a lot of good fluid in there. And of course, what do tomatoes have in them? They have vitamin C. They have lycopene. And lycopene is also something that is very nutritious. And I'm going to put a little bit more of the tomato that has some chunks in it. I like chunky things. I like puree things too that are just, you know, kind of smooth. But when I'm thinking about a vegetable soup, I like to be kind of chunky. Okay, then we have, where did that go? Here it is. This magic seasoning called chicknish. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay, this is what the container looks like. You might have to get this at a health food store.
Yeah. Like,
that would probably be the closest place you could do it. So I'm going to put that in here.
What's that season come from?
This is the chicknish.
Yeah, but what is it from?
Oh, let me tell you, if I can read it here. Soy flour, salt, food yeast, onion, garlic, parsley, celery, plus our unique blend of vegetables and herbs. So they're not going to tell you their secret in here. And then they've got organic ingredients, all organic, no black or white pepper, sugar, MSG, fat, dairy products, or fillers.
That's a good thing.
That's
Good.
what we have here. Yeah, this is Bill's best, I think. Okay. And then I'm going to need to get a, this right here. We're going to have to mix this together. And I'm going to have to add 4 cups of water. Okay. And then, so like I said, I'm going to put, I don't want to really put this in until I get some heat in here because I just want to wilt the leaves on top and then blend them in. And then it's kale and collards mixed. And then I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here. Salt to taste. So we all have different taste buds. But I'm going to start out, you know, when Alicia asked about the milligrams of salt in a day, that the recommendation is only about 1 teaspoon. That's not a lot of salt. So we need to be careful about how much we add in. There's already salt in there. So I'm not going to be able to do this. Yeah. I'm going to put about a teaspoon in here to begin with. And then what I would do is, because it's going to be distributed here for several servings, but then what I would do is see after I have it going a little bit whether I want to put more in or not. I don't use a lot of salt. And that was, of course, the pink sea salt that's got a lot of the minerals in it that Alicia had mentioned. So I'm going to put this back on the stove, and that will complete this recipe. And I'm going to get it back there. Thank you very much. Okay, let me get my book over here. They are very efficient, this team.
Yes, they are.
They really have it down. Science here. So I wanted to finish. We've been closing our series with a parable. And so I wanted to finish with one about food. And so this one, of course, is in every one of the Gospels. You're probably all familiar with it. It's the parable about turning the 2 little barley loaves and fish into enough to feed a huge multitude of people. We don't even know how many people were actually there because we only have the men that were numbered, the 5,000, plus their families. So I just wanted to close with that. And it's here in, like I said, it's in every one of the Gospels, but it's in Mark, and it is in the 6th chapter, and it starts here in verse 30. Now, Jesus had gotten some very bad news before this happened. John the Baptist, his cousin, had been beheaded. So he was seeking some privacy and some quiet time. And that is what was leading up into this situation. And my Bible's very small, so I have to really use my eyes here. When the apostles gathered to Jesus and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. And he said to them, "Come aside by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while." For there were many coming and going, and they did not even have time to eat. So they departed to a deserted place in the boat by themselves. But the multitudes, I might have to break down and get my glasses. But the multitudes saw them departing, and many knew him and ran here and there from all the cities. They arrived before them and came together to him. And it says that Jesus healed and he blessed them. I'm going to see if I can get my glasses so I don't stumble through this. My apologies. I should never go anywhere without these glasses in my pocket. But the multitude saw them departing, and many knew him and ran there on foot from all the cities. They arrived before them and came together to him. And Jesus, when he came out, saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion for them, because they were like sheep, having no shepherd. So he began to teach them many things. When the day was now far spent, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and already the hour is late. Send them away that they may go into the surrounding country and villages and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat." But Jesus answered and said to them, "You give them something to eat." And they said to him, "Shall we go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give them something to eat?" But he said to them, "How many loaves do you have? Go and see." And when they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then he commanded them to make them sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in ranks, in hundreds and in 50s. And when he had taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven, blessed and broke the loaves, and gave them to his disciples to set before them. And the 2 fish he divided among them all. So they all ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of fragments and of the fish. Now those who had eaten the loaves were about 9,000 men. So this was a miraculous way in which we see Jesus, who, what did he call himself? What was one of the ways that he referred to himself? The bread of life. And here we have him multiplying these few little loaves and fish to feed over 5,000. I say this because sometimes we have trouble in our lives and we think, how will I get through it? And we don't get through this life without trouble. And yet, here's Jesus who has the power to multiply these few little things, few little items of food into feeding 5,000 people. You know, somebody once told me, they were telling this parable and they posed a very important question at the end. They kind of hypothesized a little bit about the boy, the young lad who had given his meal, the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And hypothesized that the little boy afterwards said, wow, Jesus did all that with my 5 loaves and 2 fish. What might he have done if I gave him everything? And so this is sometimes we, you know, think we can't give him everything. We have to keep some stuff for ourselves. But look at the way that God works on this principle of multiplication and blessing. And I just want to read you a comment. I don't know if any of you have ever seen this book, The Desire of Ages. It's a book on the life of Christ. It's probably one of the most translated copies of a book on the life of Christ of anything that has been written. And the comment in here says, this is an important thing for us to remember. In feeding the 5,000, Jesus lifts the veil from the world of nature and reveals the power that is constantly exercised for our good. In the production of Earth's harvest, God is working a miracle every day. We don't often think of it that way because we take all of this for granted. Through natural agencies, the same work is accomplished that was wrought in the feeding of the multitude. Men prepare the soil and sow the seed, but it is the life from God that causes the seed to germinate. It is God's rain and air and sunshine that cause it to put forth. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. It is God who is every day feeding millions from Earth's harvest fields. Men are called upon to cooperate with God in the care of the grain and the preparation of the loaf. And because of this, they lose sight of the divine agency. They do not give God the glory due unto his holy name. The working of his power is ascribed to natural causes or to human instrumentality. So it's just something to think about when we are looking at the abundance of food all around us every day. And how is it designed? Why is it that all of this food has exactly what we need to be healthy? Because it's all part of the divine design. It's not a mistake. This food doesn't just grow to give us all of this nourishment by chance. It's designed by the hand of God to give us this nourishment. So I just want to honor the source, because we can be the vessels that prepare food and that feed the hungry and that clothe the people who are in need. We can be instruments, but it is God, the Creator, that provides all the power for this to happen. So I just thank you for being with us. As I said, we're really trying to look at these little sessions that we're providing on the second Sunday as a way for us to look at mind, body, and spirit as a whole. How we keep ourselves well. And what resources, water, what would we do without water? that we talked about last time. Food, things we take for granted. Next time we will talk a little bit more about the microbiome because Dr. Chung just really opened the way into that. There's an explosion. If you're following this, there's an explosion of information going on around the microbiome. You know that they are actually asking whether depression and anxiety come from here or from here because of all of what they're finding out about that bacteria and how it just interacts with all of the systems in our body. So these are things that we're going to continue to explore. And our immunity, of course, is something that's priceless. And we're discovering that right now because we're in a situation where that's being challenged. So we're going to keep on talking this way through, and I hope that you'll come back. We'll probably be at the same time, this window between 2 and 4. Second Sunday next month, second Sunday in December. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the samples. We enjoyed having you with us, and I hope you enjoyed being here. So we'll look forward to seeing you again in November. God bless and keep you. Thank you. Oh, questions? Okay. Do you want to answer?
You got the mic, so. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna call it. Let's see how much I need, Alicia. Okay, and now how can I help you?
Okay, I noticed a lot of my women friends, we all like tomatoes on salads and fix up, but I noticed a lot of my male friends, they always pick the tomato off. So I'm wondering, the lycopene that she was speaking of for men, which I volunteered to help men.
Yeah, so good for male prostate health.
Right.
I know there's lectin in that. Now, if you cook it, you can cook it out, I believe.
Yes.
See, you do. I knew you were going to need this.
So I wanted to know why doesn't it benefit females as much? What is it?
Well, it does. It benefits everybody. Lycopene benefits everybody. That doesn't mean that it can't have more benefits in certain ways, but that doesn't mean that it has no benefit to females. It is a beneficial element that is better utilized when the tomato is cooked.
Good. That's what I heard.
Yes. And lectins, if you're hearing some of the things that are growing around
Okay. We got
cooking does, especially pressure cooking, when you're looking at lectins and beans, because if you listen to some of these people that are talking on the internet about lectins and whether you should eat them or not eat them, all beans, any bean you buy in the store that is canned is pressure cooked. So the lectins are taking care of any bean. If you are cooking it yourself, if you cook it, that is going to destroy those lectins. And if you pressure cook it, for sure, it's going to destroy the lectins. You have to make sure that your bean is cooked until it's tender, regardless if you're doing a pressure cook or not, in order to make sure that those lectins are taken care of in the bean. Is there another question? Yes. Here. You're here.
There was it's mental tamale soup. It has masa in it, but she didn't realize there's something for the making the tamales with masa, but it doesn't say for the soup. You have to cook it. You just roll it on the bottom.
So yeah. So you do the lentil recipe, and then you do this recipe, and you cut this up and then add this to the soup.
So you just make, you don't have to cook them exactly in the soup.
You need to steam them in a husk. So it says,
so she made the tamales as tamales.
Yeah.
And then she cut them up.
Yes. That makes sense. It was really hard for me to try to interpret the recipe.
Yeah.
So I did the best I could.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, any other questions?
I was always taught that,
She has one right there.
Just a minute, we got Karen here, just a second.
I was always taught that all the vitamins and nutritions are in raw vegetables. So, yeah, so if we cook them, does that take away from all that?
So, no, so carrots are better cooked, tomatoes are better cooked. There are certain vegetables that are better cooked. Now, of course, we get, okay.
Because they're more digestible.
Right.
Carrots take a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
But
To get all of the that's why eating a little bit makes it easier. And tomatoes are also more beneficial because they are. That doesn't mean not to eat them.
yeah, and the eating raw is good too, but you're not, sometimes you're killing the enzymes with the cook. You still have the juice and things, so there's still a lot of nutrition.
But if you were to open